The backpack that I used, which you will have seen, my trusty companion, is from Gossamer Gear, a United States company, and it's called the Mariposa. This is kind of how it looks packed. It's not packed fully like I would pack it. This is a top pocket that I tended to put day food in that I would stop and swap out on a lunch break. From wearing it on my back, I could easily grab this water bottle from the side, the lower pocket, but I didn't put anything else in there as a result, except for the days where I actually carried 4 water bottles because I was concerned about water at a hut. Then I stuck my filter bottle here full, but that wasn't something I walked with regularly. So that's always useful to not have to take your pack off to get water. This is padding for the back, so unlike an Osprey, this sits directly against your back. I personally have no problem with that. I'm kind of a colder person and somewhat used to a sweaty back from wearing a backpack, so I don't mind. And it comes with 2 pads, and the idea is you pick which one you want to walk with. I found for me, walking with both, so a little bit extra weight was ideal because it never bothered me on the back. It was very comfortable. And this is a bit of an aftermarket pocket. That you will have seen in the videos, and I loved because I would keep my sunglasses there. I would keep a spare battery pack in here, and my cables, and my little iPod Nano, which was an absolute lifesaver when walking, listening to music. So all easily accessible. The only downside, and it's a pretty big downside, so I'm gonna need to rectify this, is this is Velcro, and somehow these Velcro straps, and I thought maybe I prevented this, but I probably need to redo it. Before I noticed what they were doing, they put holes kind of under my top arm, underneath the arm. They wore holes through the merino, even my new one. Not as bad as the first one, so that's far from ideal, and I'm gonna have to see how I can prevent that. But it was quite convenient to have that, because when I walked with Uva, he had bought the Mariposa thinking it might be for him, but it didn't fit him right. It fit me. When I walked with him southbound for that section, I used the belt that he got with it. So you can get different sized belts, and it was a medium, which fit and had these wonderful big oversized pockets on them, on the belt, hip belt. But I was pulling the medium pretty much fully tight before I even started my own Araroa journey. That didn't seem like that would work over the long haul, and then I guarantee you it wouldn't have. So I ordered the small hip belt and swapped it out. The thing with the small hip belt is you only have this one little pocket, but I could fit 3 bars in there easily, if not a 4th. So it's still a good sized pocket for day food or whatever you want, easy to reach. And the other side isn't a pocket. So it's just, I kind of never really used that because I would have been afraid something would fall out. So hence this phone case add-on came in quite handy. And otherwise it's got this really tall pocket, which is where I put 2 water bottles and my filter water bottle. I just fold it up, and I put it in a plastic bag. I wanted to make sure, oh, that's pretty, that the water bottle didn't tear. My very first water bottle, which I'll go over this later, did actually spring a couple leaks. So anyway, that went down in there, and then the water bottles here. I generally, certainly on the South Island, only ever walked with 2 at most full water bottles, mostly. One of them, this one, always the same one, I put a packet of Araroa in, which some northbounders had told me was something useful. So that's really sweet. I didn't even know what Araroa was until then. I just never paid attention to it in the store. And so it's a sweet powder that in different flavors, mostly kind of orange. And yeah, so mixing that in, I had a flavored drink. And apparently it helps keep you more hydrated, and I could top it up along the way because one packet's kind of too much for 850 milliliters, but so I would do that, top it up, or use half a packet. They are heavy to carry, but it's really nice to have some flavor, and even at the end of the day, if you have some left, you can have flavor with dinner. And then there's this giant pocket in the back, which expands quite a bit. And then I would put my sit pad in there, which I'll show you, which is one of my favorite things, and just my sort of hut shoes. So easy reach. And then the inside of this pack is just one big, it's just, there's no sleeping bag compartment or separate compartments. It's just one big compartment, so you can kind of stuff it how you want, and this can go quite tall. I don't have all the stuff I would usually pack in here right now, and so it was easy to pack that way, and could fit a lot of space or a lot of items if you wanted, which just meant it was heavy. So it's not really designed to carry real heavy weight for too long as a lightweight pack, very lightweight pack. I have a nice women's Deuter that I've used for years when we'd go tramping with the kids and all, and that thing could carry expanded 70 liters, which I have done, and I've had a very heavy pack, but it's comfortable. It's very comfortable for being a big pack. And it's a women's specific, but it weighs 2.7 kilos empty. So a no-go on Araroa. As you can see here, so the pack is, I'm gonna take this to, somehow it started ripping here a little bit, and this is just the part that you can adjust kind of your straps on you. It's not the actual strap. I'm gonna go to Twin Needle in Christchurch and see if they can sew that up or do something. So that did start to rip, and I ripped the pockets here and there, as you will see the lovely duct tape. So duct tape is definitely something you want to bring on the trip. And yeah, and I would, so this one came off eventually, but they lasted a really long time, and I would put duct tape on the inside and the outside. And really, I'd say for all the stuff and terrible plants I went through, that's a pretty darn good mesh pocket, all things considered. And then the big one, also here's the outside tape fell off. I did have to tape the outside pocket in a couple of places. So you just gotta check, every now and again, and see how things are going. And if you have your duct tape, then everything's okay. So that's kind of an overview of the pack. One thing I recommend doing is when you do get what gear you want to use, practice packing the pack. Walk with that, find out where the weight sits best, because it makes a difference. And you're supposed to put the heavy stuff more in the middle of your back, from what I've read. rather than say at the very bottom. So I did have a play with that and found that my shoulders were better if I packed it a certain way and things on certain sides, and you potentially learn that as you walk, but makes a big difference. All right, so that's kind of an overview of the pack. I just want to again show this because it looks all taped and I said it was ripping, which seems like this is being held with tape. No, there is a cord. There's a little kind of strong cord in there, and that's still intact. So it's more the pack material around it. But honestly, I don't know how good that cord is, but that never seemed to break. And I did do some sewing, and I tried to avoid touching that cord so as to not affect the integrity of it potentially. So I really don't know what could have happened here, if this would have failed, or if it's just more the outside failing, but the actual integrity seems to be intact. Just don't know for how long. Another favorite item is this sit pad from Therm-A-Rest. Just weighs 63 grams and it's really handy. As one can see, it's got its own little cord. Fold up. And it just fit nicely in that back pouch, mesh pouch on my backpack. And one can use this, you take a break and you want to sit somewhere and there really aren't good places to sit most of the time, or maybe they're wet, or maybe they're dirty, and you just put this down and it's comfortable and it keeps you from getting wet or too dirty. It's useful even in huts or where there are benches, because they're kind of hard, and I would just sit on this. And I used it every day to stretch. So stretches that weren't done standing, I used this, like stretching my shins, sort of stretching my hips a bit. Yeah. I could just sit on this instead of some hard floor. And I think that's just like a must-have. It's a great purchase. It works really well. It's easy to store. It's lightweight. Just so useful. I showed it to the hunters at Nichols' hut, and they thought it was pretty cool too. So who knows? Maybe they got themselves a Therm-A-Rest sit pad. Apparently it's called a Therm-A-Rest Z seat. I got this in New Zealand. I ordered it from an online store in Nelson, I believe. But it should be available here in New Zealand. And I'm guessing other places as well.